Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I would like to give another round of applause to the GM and the hotel team here at the Marriott. I am a proud ambassador status Marriott member. They opened the store early for me this morning so I could get some fresh new threads. I know they're a little baggy, but yeah. We're going to jump in here and talk about pumping up your event ROI with wellness. So a little bit more about me. Claudia gave a wonderful introduction about me. I am a recovering corporate planner. I did it for 20 years and all over the place. I've even done concert tours for MTV and the likes of that, which is when I had hair and then it was all gone afterwards. One of the other gigs I also did was I worked at 24 Hour Fitness doing their incentives and internal meetings, which is really kind of a keystone of where I started to learn about meetings and events and fitness and integrating the two before it evolved into wellness. So I also have a made-up title of the 5-time fittest man in events. The CrossFit Games, which is like the CrossFit Olympics. Anybody ever heard of CrossFit? Yeah, oh, wow, okay. That's exciting. I'm not up here to promote CrossFit, by the way. Huh? Yes, agreed. I didn't ask if you did it, just if you heard of it. Anyways, they have their like Olympics. For the first couple years, I was the fittest event professional. And then in like 22, the ladies started to show up. And in 23, one of them went to the CrossFit Games, which is their Olympics. So that was pretty spectacular. And I bowed to her, and she's amazing. And then I call it the Pandy because it seems more fun that way. So it's not so PTSD triggering. At the end of the Pandy, they came out with this pandemic meeting event design. That's the PMED. And it was a really interesting course. And I waited till 2021 to take it because I wanted to give them some time to figure out what they're talking about. Much like how there's already AI expert courses. Okay, bro. It's been around for like a year and they're already an expert. Like, let's give it some time. Let's give it some room to breathe. Let's see what it is. That accreditation could very well expire in 3 months when GPT-10 becomes sentient and we all run for the hills. But I've been around the industry for a while, and one of the things that I have learned is how important wellness has become to both attendees and ourselves, but more importantly, how it impacts people's ability to learn and how they leave an event. So the idea today is to talk about how to leave our attendees energized instead of exhausted. So who is this for? It's for the planners, both in-house and agency planners. It is for all planners. Suppliers are like, well, what about us? Yes, it's also for you, because when you get all those annoying requests from people, now you'll know why. But before we jump into that, I actually just came from an event yesterday, I think. No, Monday? I don't know. Time is a false construct. And Michael Dominguez, people know who he is, right? Yeah, I see it, yeah. He was talking about how emotions dictate behaviors. So I wanted to start things off here with a little level set on demographics. Everyone's familiar with demographics, right? Yeah, it's these kinds of things. So I was introduced to a gentleman named David Allison a couple years ago at a Site Classic event in San Diego. And he has a company called Value Graphics. And what they did is they went out and they did a study and a survey of 1 million people worldwide to figure out what core values people had, because emotions dictate behavior. With that, they nailed it down to 56 key values. I don't want to misrepresent his research. So we're going to talk a little more about this because these two people are the same person theoretically, right? It's going to be very interactive, so buckle up. Yeah? Okay. All right, we add some more stuff. Still the same person, right? Yep. Thank you. This is how it's going to go. So get comfortable. It is bright and early, and we're going to talk about what's happening in our brains and our bodies right now and our circadian rhythms in a minute. But we're gonna get things going here. We're gonna get the juices flowing. They're also both royalty, which is an interesting thing. But these two people make very different decisions. So before, it's like I had to fix the slide because originally it said Prince Charles, and I would say, one's the King of England and one's the Prince of Darkness. And I was like, oh, I should fix that. I don't want to polarize the crowd. So the whole idea being, these two people, while on paper and traditional demographics dictate that they would be the same person, I'm going to tie this all in here, they're very different. So when you think about your event attendees, they're going to be very different if you're just looking at their demographics. Focusing on what they value is going to be way more impactful because their emotions are going to drive their behavior. Now, the next question is, on a scale of 1 to 56, right? There's 56 options, 56 values. Where do you think health and well-being landed on that scale? And this is where you shout things out. 2, 56, 4, 10, 22. Okay, good. We're getting in the groove. I like this. This makes me happy. Some of you were very close. It's 5. It's the 5th most important value in the US. Globally, it was, I think it came down to like 13th. There was some other things. We obviously in the US, North America, it was 5 as well. Canada, it was 4th. But Mexico was also 5th. But in the world, there's obviously, in other countries, there's a lot bigger concerns, security, things of that nature. But here's what I found really interesting when I looked at this research, is the fact that belonging, relationships, and personal growth were all before that. Now with that, if we did a group workout, and the coach was there and walking you through, and let's say you had an injury and they were like, hey, here's how you can modify this so that you can still participate. That's going to foster some belonging, right? Okay, check number 1. Now you feel like you belong. We're going to skip family. Relationships. Miguel from Skift uses the term sweat working, because when you go to these group sessions and do a group workout, you get to build some new relationships, which is great, and one of the reasons why a lot of us come to these things. And then next, personal growth. You might not have ever thought, I could never do a push-up, and that day you get a push-up. There's some personal growth, or something of that nature, right? It might be a new type of exercise. It might be a new activity. I've never been tequila tasting before, but I'm going to today, or tomorrow, or whenever it is. That's some personal growth. It doesn't have, you're like, really? Tequila tasting, personal growth? I'm going to learn something new. I may not remember it depending on how, how much they pour. Right, if it's a tasting or drinking, that changes how much you remember. So the good news is I found a video on the internet. It is 8:16. So the good news is I found this video on the internet. It sums up everything about wellness. We're going to watch this video, and then we're just going to take Q&A. Sound good? Here we go.
Also, only eat breakfast and dinner and more. Also, eat lots of protein and lift, and actually don't do any cardio after your joints. Also, don't eat too much protein, make sure you're sleeping a lot, but don't be sedentary. But don't be too active, it's bad for your blood pressure. Make sure you replace all your salt and every too much sodium. It's easy, just eat vegetables. But don't eat potatoes or corn. Fruit is obviously good for you, and also it's all sugar and it's bad for you. Sugar, I forgot to mention, is vital source of quick burning carbohydrates your brain needs to survive, and you should avoid it at all costs. So if you're testing your kidneys, make sure you do that. Drink water, never starve yourself. Unless you're calling it intermittent fasting, there's a big starve yourself. Don't overcarbohydrate. Being vegan is obviously half this lifestyle. You also know it's not. Fish is obviously super good for you, and it's full of mercury and killing you. Simple, right?
Okay, questions? Everyone's good, right? The big thing about this is there is no silver bullet when it comes to wellness. This is a thing where wellness means different things to different people. And what is wellness to one person is not necessarily the same for someone else. Which as a planner is a total fucking nightmare. Because it means, oh, I have to do everything for everyone. Well, good news, you already do everything for everyone. But it's really about agency and giving people choices. So we're going to dig into this a little more. And we're also going to talk about why this is so important. We're all being asked to do more with less, be it money or headcount. Another fun fact from Michael Dominguez's State of the Industry update. He said, inflation is down. Yay. It's down to 3%. Yay. Oh, wait. It's down to 3% of the 20% that it went up. So it's really not down. It's just not accelerating. So things are more expensive. We all know it. I don't have to explain that to anybody else, anybody in the room. So what does that mean? It means with increasing costs, we need increased ROI. We need better survey scores. We need people to buy tickets faster. We potentially need to raise our ticket prices if we're selling tickets to things. No matter what it is, we need reinvestment from people faster so that we can show that our event was worth people's time. So the last thing also is there's just an increased desire from attendees. People started taking care of themselves during the pandemic. Lots of people had mental health crises and other things that went on that helped them realize that they weren't taking care of themselves and they needed to. And now when they leave, they don't want to come back and feel like they've been completely derailed. They want to maintain what they do at home. Otherwise, they're not going to leave the house again. Now, it also says a case study. So I'm going to share with you something I did in one of my last years as being a planner, and it's kind of what motivated me to move to this new opportunity for myself. We did an event in Vegas. It was a kickoff event. It was in February. It was a company kickoff event, so the whole company came. And I'm just going to share. I'm going to kind of give the punchline here so that you understand that everything we're going to talk about today is how we got those numbers. So we surveyed 400 people. Our average NPS score on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 9.4. Now, that's great, but who cares if only 10 people filled out the survey, right? The planning committee, and they're like, oh, this was awesome. 85% filled out the survey. So that's over 300 people filled out the survey, and we got a 9.4. How we did that is we said you can have the event pictures. You'll get the confirmation for the link to the pictures at the end of the survey. So, yeah, we bribed them, and it worked. So you're welcome to use that and take it with you. So let's talk a little more about wellness, right? We've all heard the term. What does it mean? Like everyone has different meanings for it. This is the official Merriam-Webster definition, is the quality or state of being in good health, especially as an actively sought goal. I think for anybody does anybody sit in marketing by any chance that happens to be a planner here? I got 1 hand, 2, 3. Semantics, right? Words matter. An actively sought goal. It doesn't mean it's a destination. It is, kill me now for saying this, it is a wellness journey. Because it's never finished. It's an active pursuit. This is a fun thing I like to bring up. Anybody ever heard of toxic wellness? No? No, okay. This came out of, I'm sure you've all heard of Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow's company, right? Yeah, so everyone there was like, oh, did you meditate today? Oh, for how long? Did you do yoga? Blah, blah, blah. Like, when you get to that level of comparing and whatnot, it's one thing if you're doing a competitive, for the people who do CrossFit, if there are any, you might compare scores and, how many did you get, blah, 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 because you're just a competitive person. Like, there's no salespeople in the room, right? No. Okay, all right, cool. Nobody's competitive then. But toxic wellness is when people are comparing those things to each other, and nobody benefits from that. I think I want to call out very blatantly that to one person, levitating while they meditate is their mindfulness and their definition of wellness, and for someone else, having a cigar by the fire with some scotch is their definition of wellness. One may be a little better for your body, but if those two different things put you in the same headspace, who are we to judge? Who cares? I think that's one of the things we struggle with executive buy-in with wellness sometimes as well, is a sales executive is like, well, we should do scotch and cigars. And someone's like, that's like the worst thing in the world. I hate cigar smoke. So that's what it comes down to, is agency. We're going to talk a lot about that. So we're going to break this thing down today into 3 M's: mindfulness, movement, and meals. It's only 3 things: mindfulness, movement, and meals. We're going to start with mindfulness. And I'm just going to propose some questions here so that you can think about it and come up to your own conclusions. If an attendee's worried about other things because you have a jam-packed agenda, do you think they're going to be paying attention in your sessions? Especially if, you spend a bunch of money on a keynote, and you have the keynote at 7 a.m. or something like that, which some people do, or worse, 1 p.m. right after lunch. The next thing is, are you leveraging attendees' circadian rhythm to optimize learning? What does that mean? Okay, so there's this fun thing that we all have, which is a circadian rhythm. It's our 24-hour body clock. They're all a little different, but for the most part, they run the same unless you work night shifts or things of that nature. Earlier this year, I sat down with a human performance psychologist and talked about circadian rhythms. She has worked with the Pentagon, DoD, TSA, Olympic athletes, et cetera, and this conversation blew my mind. I felt like I had nothing left in my brain trying to capture everything she was saying. So I'm glad I recorded it. Let me walk you through a day. So right now, by the way, this is very exciting. Rita, thank you for having me first thing in the morning, because you're all technically kind of at your sharpest between now and noon. So now, and then when you go into your meetings, rapid fire in the appointments, you're going to be sharp, you're going to be on point, you're going to be ready to go. From now until lunchtime, you are in your prime mental state. Then we go to lunch. Everybody has to eat. Lunch times vary. Then we come back from lunch, and we experience what's called a postprandial dip. I'm going to put out some fun mental warfare out right now for this 1 to 3 o'clock. 1 to 3 o'clock approximately is when people are at their least confrontational and less sharp. So if you want to sign a contract, set that meeting for 2 o'clock. If you want to negotiate a contract, set that meeting for 2 o'clock. Pick your time. This is scientifically backed. And the woman I sat down with moved the Pentagon's wartime meetings from post-lunch to first thing in the morning because they were making poor decisions and people were dying. That's the significance of this postprandial dip. So then 3 o'clock onward, very different time. So think about that when you're building agendas and planning your day. 1 to 3 o'clock is a great time to do emails, team building, that kind of thing. The last thing here is the environment they in conducive for learning. Is it dark? Do they just want to go to sleep? Is it missing any type of greenery or colors, or how is it lit? Those environmental things really, really matter. The Delos certification I have actually talks about different lighting colors and the temperatures and how they impact it. We've all heard it, right? Like orange lights are happy and blah, 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 blah. So think about that. All right, I'm going to give you some ideas here, and then we're going to jump into the next M. So this is just some starting points you're welcome to take away from. when it comes to mindfulness, one of the things you can do in the morning is offer a meditation class either alongside or after your workouts, if you offer workouts in the morning. It's really nice to do it afterwards because then the people who did the workout can also go to that. The people who are coming to breakfast can do that before they go to breakfast. It's just a nice little way to start your day with intentionality. Create an agenda that gives people's brains the room to breathe. So hour after hour after hour of sessions, awful, terrible, nobody likes it. I don't know why we still do it. That was the other thing with that case study I was talking about. We started at 9:30 in the morning, which was amazing because not only did it give people time to do workouts and things of that nature, the people who didn't want to do workouts had time to do their emails in the morning, get caught up, get dug out, so that when they showed up, they were prepared to pay attention. Who'd have thought? The next thing, you can add greenery. Everybody loves being in nature. That's a nice little touch to add to the room. And then lastly, you can extend or multiply your breaks so that people can interact with each other and discuss and debrief. Everyone learns different ways. There's 4 different ways people learn. Give people the opportunity to interact and say, oh, what did you get from that? He was an idiot. Oh, I thought so-and-so. Blah, blah, blah. Like, let them talk to each other because that's the way we will group learn. So now we get to the interactive portion, another portion. We're going to have everybody stand up and give yourself some room. So what we're going to do, I picked up this move during the Pandy. A friend of mine, Ben Hinman, who started a company called Splash, if you've ever heard of it, he would do this before he started every Zoom meeting. I'm not saying that you should do this, but what we're going to do is kind of like the hokey pokey. And I call this the Ben because I didn't know what else to call it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our right arm, we're going to count out loud, we're going to shake it for a count of 5. We're not going to start yet. And then we're going to shake and count down from 5. Then we're going to do our left arm. Then we're going to do our right leg. Then we're going to do our left leg. And we're going to start over again, but we're going to start at 4. We'll do a round, then 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to sit down and watch a video. Okay, all right. So everybody count out loud with me. Everyone ready? Right arm, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left arm, 5, 4, 3, 2. Come on. Right leg, 5, 4, 3, 1. Left leg, louder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 2, 1. 2, 1. 2, 1. 2, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, that's it.
Also, we can concentrate into extracurricular clubs and lunchtime after school. But even more importantly, how we can actually take the CrossFit program, implement it into curriculum, and actually meet national curriculum assessment objectives using CrossFit. How the high intensity exercise is shown to release something called BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. It's basically miracle growth of the brain. Stimulates the growth of the brain cells. It's phenomenal because they can activate there. So high intensity activity in the middle of the lesson, followed by continuing on with the lesson, has tremendous effect and impact on the ability of the younger you get the moving, the better habits you can establish. And it's not something that they have to do, it's just something they want to do because they just grow up and know anything else. What's wonderful about the movements that we do in CrossFit is it just provides like a very big movement vocabulary for them, which they can then take and use that as a springboard to explore or do whatever they want to do. So it's a really good ground for them to do their facilities.
Okay, I swear this isn't a promotion for CrossFit. There's just a lot of science backed behind it. They've done a lot of research about the impact it has. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the presidential fitness test that the US used to have back in the day. Yep. Okay. Awful. Did anybody like it? No. So what the presidential fitness test was, for those of you unfamiliar with it, was once a year, everyone in physical education class had to like run a mile, see how many sit-ups you could do in a minute, touch your toes, blah, 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 all these like arbitrary things. That is because in the 50s or early 60s, President John F. Kennedy came up with this presidential fitness test because they spent a whole truckload of federal money on doing the research that healthy, fit kids learned better. And he wanted the United States to be the strongest country in the world because of our, not just our physical fitness, but our mental fitness. And that physical fitness impacts your mental fitness. So that was the reasoning behind it. So while this isn't rocket science, it is neuroscience. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So we talked about, you guys heard it from him, a single bout of aerobic exercise can impact your facilitate learning for up to 30 minutes. So remember how like you do a Zoom and then you get up, you go for a walk, you come back, you do the next one. And we've all seen that graph, right, with the colors in the brain of like back-to-back Zooms versus taking breaks in between. It's all there. Exercise has shown to increase your hippocampus size. That's the part inside your brain responsible for learning and memory. Give people the opportunity to move. Have workouts in the morning if you can, or at least give the opportunity for people to go do workouts if they want to. Like I said, this is about agency. It's not about pushing your way of life on them or what you think is good for them, but it's about giving people the opportunity that they can take care of themselves the way they want to. Last thing, this was a fun little thing. I'm an event professional, so pronouncing these words are sometimes difficult for me, so please bear with me. But we've all heard of a runner's high, right? Okay, come on. Do I have to make you stand up again? Yes? Yes? Okay, good. All right. We've heard of a runner's high. It's real, and it feels very similar to a different kind of high because it is the same hormones that are being released during that exercise. So in our brains, there are these neurotransmitters that are receptive to anandamide, I think I got that right, and this 2-AG, not athletic greens. I know they're pushing that a lot on the internet. It turns out that your exercise will give you the same effects as chocolate and weed. So you're like, so why work out if I can just have chocolate? I say, why not both? Yes and, right? Okay, so some fun facts about movement. Let's give you some ideas of what you can do. Offer a variety of workout classes. You can do more than yoga and a 5K. I have a good friend of mine. She's like, I hate yoga. It makes me fart. She's like, I don't like putting my butt in other people's faces and farting. I was like, that seems not like you, but okay. Something, because there are people that want something more intense. When you go to, I'll use this Vegas thing, we knew we had Europeans coming, and so the gyms in Vegas are notorious for not opening early enough. So we asked them if they could open earlier, and they're like, yeah, we're going to have to charge you for labor. I was like, crap, how much is that going to be? And then they told me, and I was like, that's ridiculously affordable. You should probably pay that person more. So we opened the gym at 5 instead of 8 so that people could get their workouts in if they didn't want to come to the group fitness classes we had. But offer options as opposed to just these two things. Next thing is the way you design the room. This is fun in here. One of the ways we did it, we did low-level seating at the front of the room, classrooms in the middle, standing tables at the back. We have a couple standers. Hi, I see you guys. Love it. So that people could stand. The next thing is I went to an event one time that was in Louisville, and the afternoon activity at like 1 o'clock was a team scavenger hunt around the city. And the CVB actually just loved it. They're like, this is fantastic. People get to get out. They get to see the city. They get to take pictures. People travel, right? We all travel because we love it. And then if you travel and you just stay on property the whole time, you're like, well, crap, I didn't get to see anything. This is an easy way to integrate movement into your stuff. And lastly, has anybody ever heard of IMEX? Only like some of you. Okay, cool. So IMEX is, okay, I'm just kidding. We've all done the step challenge, right? It's another easy one. I met with Rachel Riggs, who you may or may not know. She's with Merits. She's one of the big companies behind that step challenge. Fun fact about her, one of her first planning jobs was working for the company that made Ambien. And I was like, hey, why aren't we talking about sleep then in the wellness challenge? And she's like, you're totally right. So next year at IMEX, I don't know, I'm not making any promises for her, but there could be a sleep challenge. Yeah. Okay, so we got our last M, and we're going to jump into it here. Meals. Let's talk about food. Did you know that you can add 9 brain foods, one of them being dark chocolate, that will help your attendees learn more? Literally. So, fun thing about an anecdote I heard from an old coworker is he told me he suffers from ADD, and that when he has a high protein breakfast, Rita, great job on breakfast this morning, and the hotel, thank you. When he has a high protein breakfast, he didn't have to take his meds that day. So it is not peer reviewed yet. There's a bunch of homeopathic studies on it so far. I'm sure it will probably be there. It makes sense. I've asked a couple doctors I have access to about it, and they're like, well, I mean, you need protein, you need amino acids. Like, it's, I don't know why you wouldn't, but that direct correlation hasn't been done, and it takes some time, so we'll see. But let's just do the math. You spend God knows how much on a keynote speaker, and then you put out a continental breakfast that starts at 7 a.m. Was that investment worth it? Thank you. One of the things as a planner, I always like when speakers connect the dots for me. So that's what I'm trying to do and help make that happen. So think about what you're feeding. We're going to have a list, and I have a QR code at the end here so you can download a white paper that we did on the foods and whatnot. Food is fuel. Think about when you eat something that like doesn't agree with you, right? You don't feel great. You're not paying attention. So offer things that that really speak to that and that make people feel good. People also eat with their eyes first. We've all watched cooking shows, right? Plating and all this fancy like tweezers and crap. Color. People love color on a buffet line. Next is, does your food and beverage align with your agenda or where you are? Like there was breakfast enchiladas this morning. I was like, that's awesome. We're in Mexico. Perfect. Think about how all of that ties together, though. Also, in way of, are you doing the Italian buffet for lunch and then have a keynote speaker or your CEO or an executive coming in or a really important partner when everyone's going to be half asleep because they're loaded down with carbs? Lastly, I'm doing the tequila tasting, so this is about perspective, right? Why does networking have to equal alcohol? I've been to more industry events than I'd like to admit, where I didn't want to drink that night. And I'm like, oh, do you have any non-alcoholic beers? Because that's usually what they have. And they say, oh, yeah, we have 2. I'm like, great, which ones? And they're like, no, we have 2 bottles. I was like, there's 1,000 people here. And they're like, oh, awesome. I guess I'll take half of them. The other thing is, if you do mocktails, think about the sugar content of those mocktails. Like if it is just juice on juice on juice and club soda, you're not really doing anyone any favors because all of a sudden now they're drinking their dessert without any fiber. So mocktails should be great, but think about the caloric impact of mocktails. It's just something to think about. The other thing I want to do is I want to share a very a moment I had in 2022 on one of the first events back from the pandemic, where has anybody had an interview where they're like, oh, tell me one of your biggest mistakes, right? And I've been very fortunate for a long time. I was like, I ain't got one. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, like there was an issue one time where at spring break, I did spring break for MTV, and I didn't check all the sizes of like the drum kit, and everything showed up an inch too short or an inch too small. And the tour manager got there. He's like, what the hell is this? These are 19s. They're supposed to be 20s, blah, blah, blah. This is a 20. It's supposed to be a 21, blah, blah. And I was like, crap. So I got on the phone. I fixed it. That's what we do, right? Those failure things are so difficult to answer because we fix shit. That's what we do as planners. We make it happen. We figure out a way. We climb mountains. We move mountains, whatever. We email the GM at 11:30 at night and say, hey, my luggage didn't show up. Can you open the store early for me so I can have clothes because I'm presenting at 8:15? That's what we do. So with that, we had our first marketing team offsite. We went into the offsite. We went to lunch, and I saw two people leaving. This is the first time a lot of people had seen each other. I stop them. I go, hey, what? You guys all right? Oh, yeah. There's nothing for us to eat. I'm sorry, what? There's nothing for us to eat. Completely flubbed the dietary requirements and wasn't inclusive enough. And they didn't have anything to eat. So instead of sitting here with their peers, getting to know their teammates, they were leaving the property to go somewhere else. I have never felt like a worse human being in my entire life. It was awful. But food's important. And this comes down to when I was at 24, people would be on cheat days when they would, when they were coming to the meetings at the office. So I had to have steamed broccoli and grilled chicken breasts next to bacon and donuts because people are in different places. Give people agency so they can choose what they want. All right, we're going to jump into brain foods real quick. I know everyone's going to pull out their phones. Don't worry, there's a QR code. Save your phone for that. But here's a quick list, and it breaks down what the vitamins are, what the chemicals are in any of these given, the compounds and whatnot in any of these given foods to help. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, there's a QR code. I'm trying to wrap this up till they get to the QR code before they cut my mic. Wellness is about inclusion. Yes, and this is not a one-size-fits-all. It is scotch and cigar by the fire, and it is meditating and vegan. Not that, or I don't know, maybe a vegan likes to have vegan scotch. Is that a thing? I don't know. But you get the point, and I'm glad everyone laughed at that. As we are back in live events, people are going to start expecting more. They want more of their at-home preferences when they travel. That's why everyone's so seemingly more impossible to please than they were even before. By creating these environments, people can engage in line with their preferences, and they'll feel like their time, their money, the things that they can't get back that they spent at your event were well worth it. So last three things: mindfulness, movement, meals. What also set them up to learn more information that you spent all that time and effort with your content team planning. Here's my M. Night Shyamalan twist. Everybody's familiar with this graphic, right? Okay? Here's the twist. We all have to take care of ourselves. This is what really got me excited about preaching this message is empty glasses can't fill other glasses. We all in this room, be it planners, be it salespeople, be it whoever, we're in hospitality, and all we ever want to do is take care of everyone else while dismissing our own self-care. We have to make ourselves a priority to take care of ourselves first so that we can truly take care of others. That's it.